Alright, so I read Hapupu, and I absolutely 120% want to jump off a bridge. Reading this was like having a pair of donkey balls all over my face. It was atrocious, flabbergasting, and straight up appalling. And in the most sincere way, it was like watching a girl being abused by her boyfriend. Oh wait, that does happen. Not only is the main male lead an absolute horny nerdy criminal, but the main female lead is 100% buffoon certified for every action that this Jeffrey Dahmer lookalike does. This brainless Oompa Loompa manages to follow along and be his equal. Science. Everyone else in this manga is as bad as the Steven Seagal movie. There's a rapist, a vagina spreader, man shoulders, dumb, dumber, stepbro, Mr. and Mrs. Affair, and the Gremlins. Hell, the only great character is a kid named, Bobby. The only person that doesn't do anything dumb is a kid. Now you may be asking, if you hate it so much, why would you read it? Well, a lot of you suggested that this was the worst shoujo romance manga, and I applaud you guys for actually reading it. Meanwhile, I was losing brain cells, and wanted nothing more but to jump in front of a moving Prius to forget about all this, because Hot Gimmick is a hot mess. So the first chapter is more of an introduction to the characters. We are introduced to Hatsumi Narita, the MC, her little sister Akane Narita, horny big brother Shinogu Narita, and the criminals Ryoki Stupid Bana and the dingus Odikaka. And the story officially begins when Ryoki catches Hatsumi with a pregnancy test. Now you may be thinking, oh my goodness, it's 16 and pregnant all over again. But luckily it's not for her, but for her little sister Akane. Which is worse, 14 and pregnant. This dumb chucklefuck is every father's nightmare. And so Hatsumi explains that it's for her little sister and that it's most likely a false alarm. She could have just said it's for her mom. Think, Hatsumi, think! But she still begs Ryoki to stay quiet about this. Now why exactly does this oversized Q-tip need to stay quiet? Well, it's simple, they both live in a company housing complex. Meaning it's an apartment building, and all employees of the company live in them along with their families. I could imagine the suicide rates. And Ryoki's pretty much, baby prince charming, goo goo gaga, daddy's money wipes my butthole, because his father is an executive director of that company. Therefore his man shoulder's mother has so much power over the building. And to top it off, she loves to gossip. In other words, she's a walking telenovela. So if Ryoki struts in and says, "Mommy, Hatsumi sister is pregnant!" she would tell everyone in the building. So if people found out that one of the Narita girls has been getting swiped sweet by peepees and balls, they might relocate her family to a poopy area or fire Hatsumi's father. So Ryoki agrees to keep quiet about this, but under one condition: Hatsumi must become his slave. As Michael Jordan would say,
"Stop it. Get some help."
And like every offender, Ryoki pulls out his trump card. Grabu tatas! So Hatsumi pushes his yaoi hands away, but Ryoki threatens to pull 6'9" and snitch about the pregnancy test. And like a hentai villain, he continues to assault her. But luckily they're interrupted when Hatsumi's childhood friend Azusa Odigata makes his presence known. And from here on out is battle of the smallest peepees, as these two boys fight over an innocent lady. Run away, Hatsumi, run away from Japan. So why exactly does Richard want a slave? Well, he's never had one. He may be Japanese, but the colonizer genes are running in his veins. And what's infuriating is that he wants Hatsumi to be his slave, all for the sake of learning how to sex, and practicing his moves on her, like the John F. Kennedy, and the nerve thrust. But if you ask me, he should be practicing how to hold a soap bar firmly, because baby Prince Charming is going to become Booty Prince Charming in prison. So Hatsumi agrees to be Ryoki's slave in order to keep his mouth shut. But in reality, she wants no part of him, because her heart belongs to Azusa, her childhood friend who is not only a male model, but very kind to her. So throughout the first few chapters, she is getting closer to Azusa, while being Ryoki's slave. For every time she talks to Azusa, Ryoki calls her stupid. For every time she smiles for Azusa, Ryoki beats her. For every time she gets closer to Azusa, Ryoki tries to get his pee-pee wet. For someone who goes to an elite school, he sure has the IQ of a shit stain. And at one point in the story, when Ryoki is trying to clap Hatsumi's cheeks, his tutor walks in on them. Embarrassed, Ryoki tells Hatsumi to go home. Later that same day, the tutor lady has a talk with Hatsumi, asking her what her relationship with Ryoki is. And it's at this point that she admits that she's been giving Ryoki the Gagak 3000. You imbecile man-hands pedophile. You are an adult. Why are you balls deep in a relationship with a kid? Somebody come get EDP's knees. Anyhow, Hatsumi eventually admits that Ryoki and her have been getting freaky. Why? I don't know, I seriously don't know. Trying to crack her logic here is like cracking the Zodiac Killer's riddles. It's impossible. Hatsumi, just be smart and call the cops, call the cops, call the cops, call the cops. Keep in mind, we find out that her sister is not pregnant, but she's still in this predicament because Ryoki is a little horny puta. C-O-N-S-E-N-T. You drizzling fuck nuggets, don't go any further. Son of a... And throughout the story, she continues to do what Ryoki demands, but against her will, even though she's dating Azusa. What can I say, Japan really knows how to romance. And while her relationship with Azusa looks ideal, with him being respectful to her, kind, and showering her with love, something about him, besides his fashion style, is completely off. So Azusa is going out with Hatsumi. That's great, right? Well, it is until he starts doing things that Ted Bundy, O.J. Simpson, and a cuckold would do. For example, he invites Hatsumi to a club, then pressures her into drinking alcohol, specifically a drink that he himself chooses. And it's not your normal alcohol drink, but it's spiked. And for those of you that don't know what that means, a dingus is planning on drugging her. And for good luck, this gravy penis gives her the kiss of a sex offender. With his crusty chopped up lips, he gives it to Hatsumi and she drinks it. A few minutes later, she starts to feel drowsy and spacey. But luckily her big brother who works there catches her and sends her home. A dingus, you truly are a mastermind of a generation. After she leaves, he then says, "Next time I won't let you escape, Hatsumi." You can just tell this man has an evil lair with Hatsumi's face on the wall. I can visualize this goober rubbing his hands together at 2 AM saying,
"All according to plan."
A few days later, Azusa invites Hatsumi to his studio, and Hatsumi arrives with Geyoki. She then enters the room and sees Azusa's friends. And at first they seem friendly, until they begin to touch Hatsumi inappropriately, and then attempt to drug her. Hatsumi, feeling uncomfortable, begs to know Azusa's whereabouts. And just like Bruce Jenner, a dingus reveals his true self. He snaps his fingers and summons more of his hooligans, and completely disregards Hatsumi as a human being. Even when she's begging to know what's going on, Azusa finally admits why he's doing this. Hold your horses, ladies and gentlemen, it's about to get stupid in here. And that's because his mother had an affair with Hatsumi's father, which ultimately led to her demise. She obliterated herself to the Shadow Realm. In other words, all this is happening because his mom was a hoe. Which I can see wanting revenge, but at least go for her father. And honestly, he should be mad at his mom for spreading those legs like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. You imbecile Nigel cut nincompoop. That is your childhood friend. What in the Japanese name are you smoking? I've seen scraps of paper with a higher IQ than Azusa. So his minions continue to have their way with Hatsumi, all while filming the whole altercation. Ah yes, evidence to show to the cops. And before things get worse, Ryoki does the John Wick takedown and threatens to fight back. And before we get battle of the sex offenders, Azusa's modeling agent opens the door and stops everything. And what happens next will leave you more disappointed than the Percy Jackson movies. Now in a normal scenario, anyone in their right mind would call the cops, right? Well, this dum-dum chooses to keep this a secret. Now you may be asking, is her idiot brain getting fucked by stupid? Yup, she's taking his nuts. Not only is this man a rapey, crazy villain, but his fashion style alone should give him an extra 20 years in prison. Anyway, in the aftermath, Hatsumi and Ryoki choose to go home, when they should have just chosen to go to the police station. Hatsumi then begins to cry as everything she thought she knew was a lie. Annoyed, Ryoki yells at her and goes in for a smooch. You stupid doo-doo brain, stop pulling a Bill Clinton. She just had her heart broken, was sexually assaulted, drugged, betrayed by her significant other, and filmed. Just look at the way he's holding her. That is, without a doubt, the national fuckboy grab. After the incident, Hatsumi begins to grow closer to Ryoki, and eventually she graduates from slave to girlfriend, as Ryoki blesses her with the power to become his girl. So now he can practice all those crazy sex moves he saw on Anal Party 3. Ay ay ay, you horny chupacabra. And the worst part is, Hatsumi falls in love with Geyoki Tachi fucktard. Dear Lord, bless this dum-dum for being a dum-dum. He physically hurts her, orders her around, and tries to clap her cheeks every chance he gets. And yet, Hatsumi wants him. I must be Stevie Wonder because I just can't see the appeal. So Ryoki and Hatsumi start going out. And while that happens, Shinogu and Azusa are investigating the affairs of his mother, as Shinogu believes that Hatsumi's father is not a homewrecker. So Dingus did all sorts of illegal things to the wrong person. Even Dr. Doofenshmirtz would never make such a mistake. Idiot! And not only does Shinogu want to find out the truth, but he also wants to reverse his adoption, as we find out that he's not related to Hatsumi or Akane. He's just their adopted brother, but both girls don't know anything about that. He simply wants to do this because he is in love with Hatsumi. Oh yes, horny big brother just can't give up that hot pussy. Alabama would be proud. Eventually Hatsumi finds out that Shinogu isn't her real brother, and horny big brother Shinogu confesses to loving her. So now, even though she is in a relationship, she must choose between Ryoki, who's built like Jeffrey Dahmer, and her adopted brother, who is willing to leave the only family he has for that stepsis vagina. Truly a choice that requires the strongest wills. So during this time of confusion for Hatsumi, it comes to light that the person who had an affair with Azusa's mother was none other than baby Prince Charming's father. Oh my god, what a twist. Oh my god! No, it was actually really obvious. Hatsumi just happens to find a picture of the two and confronts Ryoki. Ryoki then tells her it doesn't matter if he knew about it, as it's none of their business. Oh yeah, because her father taking the blame and the heat is none of her business. Boyfriend of the year, ladies and gentlemen. Feeling betrayed by him, she runs away and goes back to horny big brother Shinogu. In a nutshell, reading this has been like watching a three-way game of ping pong, and Hatsumi is the pawn. Angered by her leaving, Ryoki marches to his parents' house to snitch on his dad. Let's go, baby! And on the other side of things, Shinogu and Hatsumi are getting a little too comfy as they hold each other, even though Shinogu is initiating everything. Keep in mind, she's a minor and he's an adult. Horny big brother Shinogu's pheromones are so strong that he starts emitting it, and it travels at the speed of light, piercing Ryoki in the heart.
Hey, woman.
That's what I'm talking about, baby! Turns out, he's just sick. So Hatsumi crawls back to him, but she sees him with another girl, and so she goes back to horny big brother and kisses him out of jealousy. And it gets resolved in the next chapter, and the story finally comes to a closing with the abuser and the abusee dating in their last year of high school. Boo, nasty boo! And we get this lovely panel of him ordering her to marry him. It's never too late to leave Japan, Hatsumi, or accidentally push him down the stairs. I can't believe this was actually published and made into a movie. And the most infuriating thing is that Hatsumi has so much little love for herself. For example, around chapter 30 or so, Ryoki finds Hatsumi with her brother and Azusa, and he straight up slaps her. All because she doesn't answer his phone calls. And his parents are there and they laugh it off. Oh, classic Ryoki. Oh, classic degenerates. And somehow Hatsumi believes she deserved that. Hatsumi, no, get in a GMC and run him over. And throughout the whole story, his whole plan was basically to sleep with Hatsumi. In the beginning, middle, and even ending. That was his goal all along. Also, her body language just breaks me. Every time Ryoki yells at her, she raises her arms up and faces away from him. It's basically a defensive stance from all the abuse. Little bitch. In conclusion, all I'm trying to say is, Gimmick, is booty cheeks bad?